Hello guys, my name is Matt and you're watching a video on Code Tech Tutorials. What I want to do today is show you what I've been learning about doing Blender animations and making models to using your own code. Now a lot of people out there, it seems like, are doing their own game engines these days, and I think that's really cool, and I'm kind of trying to do one as well. And it's really hard to find a lot of good tutorials on this stuff. There are a few notably good ones out there. There's Learn OpenGL, there's OpenGLDev.org, there's Thin Matrix, but some of those don't explain everything or what we get stuck on. So I'm going to try to fill in a few gaps here with a little video series. And specifically what I want to talk about is skeletal animations, because you may have seen in my last video, and I'll link it below if you haven't, that I figured out how to skin and model things with Blender and how to basically get started with Blender, and I'll link those videos below. Getting started with Blender, where to start and get good at that, and then some about texturing and how to texture and export for these common ways with OpenGL and using Blender itself. And then the next step is basically animations, and then there's going to be ones later down the road like how to get colliding working, and it's all very complicated, uses a lot of matrix math, but when you boil it down and do it step by step, it's not so bad. So in this first one, I just kind of want to show you Blender and exporting, and in the next one I'm going to go into more detail about how to put it into your code. So I'm going to go to Open Recent here. I've built a few. I have this ball animation that I could potentially put into code, where it's just a bouncing ball and it squishes a little, and I've carefully done the timeline and the transformations. Now this is something I can export and get this movement going into my OpenGL code. It's also worth noting that this stuff is really easy if you're using Unreal or Unity. You literally just export it as whatever and drag and drop it as whatever, and it just works. So this video is not for you guys. Yeah, you're doing it easy mode, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. There's still some hard challenges there, but this is more for people who are trying to build their own engine or just want to understand what goes behind these animations, especially code-wise and math-wise, and want to spend a little more time understanding the back end of what goes on. So that's what I'm intending here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to another one. This is sort of an embarrassing one. Let's see, I've got this guy who I was making. I put a few bones in. He looks really weird. I just built him real quick, and I basically was testing out. Let's see, just moving some bones, and I'm not super good with Blender yet. Oh, I'm on pose mode. I need to be in something else. Oh geez, what am I doing? That's not working now. I thought it would. Oh god. Cannot change pose when rest position is annual. Okay. Pose position. Yeah. So, okay. I have this set up with some basic bones, and I have these ones just following this so I can animate using stuff like this. Do a little slap animation, nothing big, just a kind of hello world here. And I have that over here. And you can do these things on timelines like you saw with that ball. I don't have this guy set up to a timeline, but the point of this is once you can build these, and link below if you don't know how to build these, I'll put the getting started with Blender linked to that video. It's really short, and it's quite a few Blender videos, but it's the official ones. And once you understand most of that stuff and can make these animations and can make your own timelines of stuff and texture them, the next thing is putting them in your game. So once you get to this far, that's a big step. But the next step is really where I've been stuck for a while, and I've been working on and trying to figure it out. I found a few good resources, and I'm using specifically the Assimp library. So I'll put a link to that below as well. And it looks a little bit like this. So I went over Thin Matrix's videos and kind of figured out some of that, and he's using the collada format. Now, in my last video about making textured objects for OpenGL, where I talked about this guy's OpenGL series, and let's see, he does model loading. Eventually he gets to the model and he loads in this dude, that's pre-made texture from some game, Nanosuit guy, and it works great. And I figured out kind of how to do more of those, and I talk about that and do it in the OBJ file. But the problem with the OBJ file, so if you go to export wavefront, and you can choose animation, but what this does is it actually exports your model in all his different stages. So it's one model export per frame, and it's a giant file. And sure, you can load all those in and you can iterate through them and do your animation by switching between all these models, but it's not really too efficient because you have to load in so many models and run through them in a timeline like manner. So it's this OBJ format, while you can do animations with it, it's not really very good. So a lot of people seem to go to other formats that support it a little better, and the one I'm going to talk about is the collada format. FBX apparently does it pretty well too, and I'm sure there are other ones because there are so many of these, but collada is pretty great because if I export this as a collada format, I'm just going to do it somewhere here in my documents. And now at this point I'm going to, let's see, what is a better one? This random guy one might be better because I've got a few more things on him. I don't have him timelined out yet. Okay, well, maybe he won't be better. We'll stick with what we got. But okay, so what you can do with these is you can have your different animation set up with Blender, and you can have punch, walk, run, jump, and you can have all these animations and keyframed out, and it's gonna take a lot of learning about animations. And if you're a coder, it might be better to find someone else that specializes in setting up these animations for you, and maybe get a team together, sort of thing. That's eventually what I intend to do. But this format of the collada format is nice, and I'll show you why. Give me a second here. Let me pull up my documents. Let's pull up that robot guy. Rust robot demo. What would I call him? .dae. Yeah, this here. Okay. I had so many files in there, I had trouble finding them. So if I open it with something like Notepad where I can see all the plain text, close all this stuff, you'll see that this is a JSON-like format, and I'll collapse some of these down. There's the assets, tells you about what it was made with. But when you import this with Assimp, you don't necessarily need the cameras, you don't necessarily need the lights, the effects. I believe that's all the material stuff, so Assimp will handle that. And there's images, materials, geometries, which I think is all the mesh, or all the vertices and stuff, and controllers. Now controllers is where it gets interesting and what I'm going to be talking about here, because this is, it's going to hold all your timeline stuff and all your transforms and all the bones. Okay, I guess it's here in library visual scenes. But Assimp can handle this too, importing this, but it's all about running it in your code in a timeline once you get it imported. And importing it has proved to be a little tricky. But collada does have all this stuff, whereas an OBJ does not. So it has all the info you need to translate your animation into your game how you want once you have it built. And the notable tutorials I found that have been very helpful is this one here from OpenGL.dev. He seems to explain it all and walks into some code, and he's using Assimp as well. And I'm kind of taking this apart right now and trying to simplify it down into my own version, working into my own engine, and that's the tutorial I want to give in the next video, is the actual code and getting it running once you kind of understand what you need to do. So if you want to jump ahead, you can have a whack at this if you're ready to animate and have got all this stuff ready. this is a pretty good tutorial. However, if you're like me and this isn't exactly working for you because you're kind of doing it in your own way within your own code, my next video might help a lot. So let's see here. There was another one that was really good. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I think I showed it already. The Thin Matrix animations. Now, Thin Matrix is an indie dev. He's made some great games. Well, one that I know for sure, Equinox, I know he's working on more. So he's a cool indie dev that's worth following if you haven't. Just kind of a blind shout out. I've watched a lot of his videos. I love the guy. As you can see, I'm belled. But he's got tutorials on these animations as well. And while he doesn't talk about specifically using Assimp in the Collada format, he's doing it in Java. The math is all still the same. Doing the transformations is all still the same. So it's pretty the equivalent of this. Just you got to do some conversions with the language stuff. I'm going to be talking about C++ and Assimp. He's doing it in his own custom way, which is awesome too. So those videos are good too. And yeah, I want to take some time and get this right and make it good. So if you could, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with people if you want, subscribe, hit the bell so you can see when the next one comes out. I do all kinds of tutorials here. I do occasional rants on code and technology and about the field in general. And I just recently made a Patreon, so if you could check that out as well. If you want to, you're welcome to become one of my first patrons. That would mean a lot to me. I'm still working on getting perks set up, but this would help me continue to make videos and avoid going out and getting a real job and doing this instead if I can, because I love doing this. This is I don't know, I feel like this is me, but it's hard right now. I'm a small channel. Obviously I don't make any money or anything, so doing this Patreon thing would help me a ton. But if you can't, I totally understand. No big deal. I'd still appreciate some of the other stuff that's free to do, like liking, sharing the video, and that sort of thing, or leaving a comment, or even just watching the video is cool too. So just want to put that out there. So look out for part 2 of this. It might be a while. I'm going to try to get that all together for you guys. In the meantime, I might be doing some C++ tutorials. I've been working on a beginner series. So that's if you don't know how to do C++ at all, that might be a good place to start. I try to explain everything in the most layman terms I can, or at least get a different perspective on it. And I'm going to try to do the same with these animations. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you guys around soon. Peace out.